Hi.
Hi guys, welcome back to Education. We are here again with Lisa from Luminous Events in New Orleans, giving you a whole different point of view from our previous recording. So here it is, lovely chandelier. Today we are taking just a short break to talk to you guys a little bit about do-it-yourself projects and the pros and cons, although I don't think we have too many pros, so do not be upset with us. But we want to kind of talk through the process and why, or at least I feel I have so many clients that have frustrations about us not really helping them with their DIY projects. So we kind of want to talk through that with you and maybe why vendors aren't as readily available to jump on board with that, and really also why we feel, regardless of whether or not you need our help, why you should maybe just hire somebody. So
Absolutely. So this conversation could probably go on
Forever.
for weeks, forever about DIY, and I want to kind of maybe preface this by saying there's nothing wrong with it if that's the route you decide to go. And I think in certain instances, if it's a small, intimate wedding and you're really needing to be very budget conscious and there's just a few things that you need decor-wise, absolutely, you can go down the route to do it yourself. But I feel like so often, and we see this all the time with our clients, is they will call us and say, we'd like some things from you and we would like some things to do ourselves. Well, right there we actually really have to stop that conversation and educate our brides, and they don't get it, and I think it's important for our clients, our brides, our grooms, the moms, whoever we're working with, to understand first and foremost, especially when we're dealing with ladders and lighting and fire and candles and lifting things, there is a huge amount of liability that goes into what we do, and we pay a lot for insurance. So if there's no other reason to not do it yourself, and to hire a professional is for those reasons.
And also, being in New Orleans, majority of the places we're in are historic venues, and so that in and of itself is also just at home, that's a liability. But
that's right.
Outside of that, and being in these venues is a whole nother ballgame.
And it's not just about candles. It's not just about fires. It's about that wall in that 200, 300-year-old bank. We can't put a scratch. We can't mess up a picture. If we're at the museum and a picture falls off the wall, whose insurance is covering that? And I know that mom that has enough on her plate with planning the wedding and enjoying the wedding doesn't want to have to deal with that conversation. That is what we are here for. And we carry a huge insurance policy. I have workers' comp, my guys that get on the ladders and on scaffolding. So there's so many layers of just the liability side of it that always worries me for the bride and for the groom and for our clients to not even realize how much of a liability they're taking on. And luckily, I think for all of us, especially the professional businesses that have really stood the test of time in this business, is the venues are now really cracking down on that side of it. So not to take the fun away, and I get sometimes just doing a project yourself, there's a personal reason behind it, and that's okay. And there's another layer of that. I've had a mom that had 4 daughters, and there were certain decorative votives that she just had used for every daughter, and she wanted them on the table. So there's times that we make exceptions. We did require that we supplied the candle for it, not just for liability reasons. We also have a reputation to uphold, and there is a quality issue that comes in. You know, if I pick up votives or tea lights from Dollar General that may only burn for 30 minutes versus what I purchased that burn literally for 10 hours, there is a huge difference, and no one knows that the mom provided some of the candles and I provided some of the candles. My name and my reputation of 10 years is on it. So you've got the liability factor, you have the quality factor. You want the product to look just as good at the beginning of the night as you do most oftentimes all the way to the end of the night. So there's different layers of that. A third thing is, at the end of the day, I don't think you're really saving that much money. So oftentimes we will have brides that will call us, and once we have the conversation about our minimum and what they're looking for, the best route is at that time they feel like they would just like to do it themselves, and more often than not, a couple months later they'll call us back and say, wow, once we've priced the vases, we've priced the good quality candles, we've looked into hiring someone to set it up for us, get it all there, we have to rent a truck to fit it all in. So often they're just not saving the money that they thought they would to do it all. It is a lot of work. People do not realize how much time and energy and money we spend just on labor in our warehouse, and the prep time, the cleaning time, the cost of the vases that can run $30, $50, hundreds of dollars for vases, for candles, for chandeliers, to build them, to wire them. There's so much more that goes into it outside of just liability, quality control. Is at the end of the day, more often than not, you're not really saving money, and at times it's costing you more money. You've surpassed my minimum trying to buy it yourself.
Yes.
And what are you doing with all of this at the end? And it takes, especially down to the wire, it takes the enjoyment out for the family, because someone has to go there. And most venues have restrictions on how early you can get in. So now you're having to have a family member there early to set it up. Mom's stressed out, putting it all out for you. And then at the end of the night, at midnight, when you're still wanting to have fun, who picks it up? So at the end of the day, if you have the ability and you can work it into your budget, hire the professional that can do it for you. And that's why we have minimums, and we have all different ranges. It doesn't mean you have to spend $10,000 in decor. You can spend a little closer to your vendor's minimum and still get an over-the-top amazing look of decor, and it not cost you a fortune and still be less expensive likely than DIY.
Yes. Basically, literally all 3 points that you just made are exactly the points I was going to make. I feel like the liability issue, the other thing you have to understand too, for the couples that are watching this, is you're not hiring a planner to do it yourself, because see, you're not doing it yourself. I'm doing it myself, and that is not what you're hiring. Typically, that's not what you're hiring a planner for. 9 times out of 10, I always tell my clients, you know, things that you need put out, that is my job. That's fine. You know, guest books and, you know, special, you know, maybe it's favors and programs and things like that. That's fine. But I've had girls that want drapes hung, and they show up with linen and or rather fabric, and say, I want this hung from the clock at the Board of Trade.
Right.
What do you think? Like, I'm not a rental company.
Right. And there's a skill set behind it.
Yeah, where am I getting the staff to do it? Now, it's different if you have told me this is something I need, and I have said, I'm making a special allowance for you. I happen to know a guy, and this is what he can do. But that's another charge. I can't just go ahead and find somebody and get a ladder and that kind of thing. These are all part of the things that need to be planned out in advance. Right. And I think sometimes there's a misconception that, oh, I'll just pass it off to my planner, but it all is the same. Again, my insurance is totally different than theirs. I won't even light candles half the time, to be honest with you, because it is not my product. As a matter of fact, with rental companies, as you know, sometimes we're not physically even allowed to touch their chairs and things. If things need to be moved, that's on them. That's their ruling, because they don't want someone else coming in and taking a chance of dropping their equipment or anything like that. So there's so many different moving pieces and parts and rules that you don't know about, and you're not supposed to. That's what we're here for, and that's what we're here to, you know, educate you and tell you. But you do have to listen to the explanation in order to understand maybe why we can't fit into a certain budget, or why I'm not able to all of a sudden hang 75, you know, light bulbs from, you know, the Ritz-Carlton ceiling. It's, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are requests that are a little bit beyond the scope of professionals, much less somebody that is not really skilled to do that.
And we're here to work with our brides. It's not that we just want to say no. And
that's exactly what I'm saying. Like,
exactly.
Understand what the why is.
Exactly.
It's not to be negative. It's to be
It's really to save you at the end of the day, and especially the week of the wedding. You and your family and your friends, you want to relax, and you really should just be enjoying each other and the fun of the party. And trust me, because I did do it for myself 10 years ago, because there was no one to do it for me. But at this point, there are so many great professionals out there, and there's someone to meet almost everyone's
Every budget. I agree.
It's not about all Luminous Events or all Kelly Sherlock. It's about finding who is a right fit for you. And it's also our job, whether you choose to work with us or Kelly or not, it's our job to educate you that why, the whys behind the reasons that we don't suggest this, or we don't allow you to bring in your own candles, or the venue won't allow you to get on a ladder to hang your own things. Not beyond you really, I can't imagine that you want to do that on your wedding day. There's just so much that could go wrong that you definitely don't want to be liable for. I don't want to be liable for it, but that's what I've taken on as a business owner, and I pay for a ton of insurance to make sure that we're okay, and things do happen that are beyond our control, and someone needs to be held responsible for that.
And I think that at the end of the day, they're like we're basically reiterating so that it isn't, we always worry that it seems so negative to give you guys real advice, but the reality is this is the reality, and that there are rules and regulations that everyone has to follow, and we're not above it. Some of the venues don't allow certain things, and they certainly don't allow a bride or a groom or anybody really to come in and do some of these things themselves, only because they're preserving their venue and they're preserving their, workspace and integrity of what they're selling. And sometimes it is okay to do something small yourself. If that's the route that you choose to go, like Lisa said, that might be the best option for you, but you also have to understand what that entails, and that does mean less time to enjoy your wedding day. And also you have to understand someone does have to pick that stuff up at the end of the night, because majority of the venues don't allow you to keep things overnight. So when we're telling you this, it isn't, again, to be negative, we're on the phone, and no, I'm not going to do that, and no, I'm not going to do that, and no, I'm not. No, listen to the whys, and then you assess and say, is saving that $300 really going to matter? In the long run, honestly, I have a real hard time believing that is going to have a better, that $300 is going to really make or break that budget when you're talking about really enjoying your day, not having to worry about these types of things, and not having to worry about the liability that could be way above $300. Trust me.
Absolutely.
And just to piggyback what you were saying earlier, I will say, again, those 3 points of liability and also in terms of just enjoying your day. But the price point, I will say, I've had so many girls that have decided to do something themselves. I'm just going to ship you the candles. And do you know how much that shipping costs? Because there's so many destination girls. So by the time you get done shipping this over to me, or really, do you have someone to ship it to? First of all, in my case with my girls, I do offer that option, but do you know how much they're paying in shipping costs?
Hundreds.
And by that point, they could have, worked something out with Lisa or another vendor to maybe, again, negotiate and find a niche that works for the budget and for what you're looking for. And there are plenty of vendors in the city, and really all over. It's not just New Orleans, it's everywhere. So sometimes just a conversation and really listening to the professionals of why and what maybe is a better option is something to really think about. But I think understanding each vendor's job is always what we're here to talk to you guys about, and understanding it's not as easy as going to the Dollar Tree, picking up some candles, throwing them on a table, and see you in 10 hours. Those candles are
that's right, they're done.
Like, that's it. But at any rate, guys, we just wanted to kind of touch on these things. Again, we are trying to get some real advice in front of these couples that are looking for real advice. So much of what we read and what we see out there is maybe a little fluffed and directed in a certain way. And I am really adamant for this YouTube channel to be something that is real. So I am grateful to have people like Lisa that want to shed some light on some of the things that you guys see every day. And it is not to be negative. It is really to just put the information out there to you so that it can be beneficial and you're actually learning something that can help you and benefit you in the planning. So we hope that you guys found this to be useful, and we hope that you will tune in for the next episode of Education. And you can email me Again, subscribe, follow, comment, like, share, and let me know if you are a vendor that would like to come on and do a little one-on-one on some things that you see in the industry, or if you'd like to be featured, or if you are a couple that has an idea for something you'd like to hear about. We are always open, and there are tons of vendors to pull from in this city. We're also going to get into some roundtables eventually,
Yes.
so we're starting off slow. But all right, guys, thank you so much. See you next time.
Yes.
True.
Yes. It's true. And we get asked so often about DIY, or can we bring a little bit
hold on.
Yeah, it's sticking out now. Now it's all I see.
It's like the mole that I had that you made me get removed.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Just kidding. You didn't really make me do it.